Even though, as we learned last month, the A in decade stands for analyze, this month it's going to stand for again. We've got a few more modifiers to go over. Obviously, what we went through last month was just kind of the introductory ones, the obvious ones, the adjacent hazard, how to start rating things if they're really difficult. Now this month we're really going to start to dig into the nitty-gritty and really tighten up our targets based on the course conditions, the weather, and everything else that really needs to be factored into making a good, sound decision on the golf course. I'm not going to bother with a full recap. If you want that, you can just go watch the videos again. But I do need to start with this idea again. So remember, here we are looking at ShotLink images. This bunker, they were 0 for 4 getting it up and down on because, again, this is the most important reason why. There's no shots right here, which illustrates that this was a slightly deeper bunker, but more importantly, that this was running away. Over here, 3 for 6 because we had a bit of a backstop, making this bunker shot easier than this one. And then this one was obviously the easiest bunker shot on earth because you had nothing but a backstop that as long as you get it out of this bunker, you're essentially going to hit it really close to the hole. Obviously, we discussed the idea that we're going to be ranking anything from negatives, which we'll get into right now, on up to threes. Again, these are yards that are added or subtracted from that baseline number, but this is the actual slide that I use in my live decade seminar. So what I'm going to show you here is this is number 10 at Carlton Woods. And the golf shots are coming in, the fairway's back down here to the bottom, so we're coming in from this direction. And I want you to visualize a pin, a hole location, 4 or 5 yards from any edge of the green from where a hazard is. And then again, the question is, how much do I not want to be short-sighted? Well, to this front left hole location, I really don't want to be short-sighted. There's a water hazard there. This bunker right here, it's a little bit deeper, and importantly, as I show, there's a slope right here. It runs away from you here, so this is a worse bunker to be in than, say, one of these back bunkers because it's just a little bit flatter back here. So this left hole location, it's a really bad spot to be. It's not an actual one-shot penalty. I mean, you should be able to get it out and make bogey. Occasionally, you'll hit one a little bit heavier than you plan to out of the bunker. That's the shot that'll accidentally land in the fringe and trickle down tight. You'll accidentally make a few 15 or 20 footers coming back, so it's not an actual one-shot penalty, but it's pretty darn close. The default is 0. If there's anything that I see my tour players do wrong for starters, it's they're trying to rank everything, either plus or minus or something. The baseline, the decade baseline, does the bulk of the heavy lifting. So really, we only want to be adding modifiers for areas that are significantly harder or significantly easier than average. And yes, I understand that you don't know what average is, but that's where this is part art, part science. You need to figure out what average is for you. I've got a buddy who's usually between a scratch and a 2 handicap, and he is literally the worst bunker player on the face of the planet. So a bunker for him might always be a 3. Shoot, it might be a 5 for this guy, he's so bad. But a guy like me, I'm decent, I'm not great, so it might be a 1. Vijay Singh, one of the best bunker players of all time, I mean, it might be a 0 or a -1 for him. He might be able to get more aggressive depending on the bunker shot that will be left. So while yes, the goal of the decade system is to help you make a quantified decision, you are still going to need some experience in order to be able to rate these modifiers correctly for your game. I think one of the keys for the decade system is simply the idea that we're just trying to shave decades off your learning curve by telling you these are the important questions for you to be able to answer at some point. This front area you can see has a -2, and as I've been telling people in my live seminar for years, you can see how it's all fairway run-up right here, and it was actually angled down towards the hole, but now, through the use of technology, I can actually show that to you. Here we are using Google Earth standing in the middle of the lake apparently, and it's a new feature. They've edited out all of the trees, which are good because they were just so distorted, it basically rendered everything useless. But here's that front left bunker, back right bunker, and this side right over here, you can kind of tell that it's fairway run-up. You can just see the fairway keeps on going right here, but you can definitely tell that it's higher. And the reason I remember this one so well is because Will actually, they played the tees up one day. It was super cool. And Will carried a driver right here and it just landed and actually kicked down onto the green about 8 feet from the hole. It was really cool. But this area is much easier because A, it's fairway run-up, but B, it contains the ball. So the opposite of that would be if you can picture Pinehurst number 2, if you miss the green, the ball's always going to be running away from the hole. This one, at least it's going to contain it and keep it around the green, and if nothing else, it's actually going to get closer to the hole. We'll see how this works as I click exit ground level view, and so now you can see, I'll pull back out a little more, that's that exact same hole. And so again, this is the area right over here that's just all contained, the different bunkering around the green. So while I talk quite often about not caring about ridges and slopes and greens, which I don't, I'm certainly taking in the ground contours into consideration when choosing what modifier to lay, so it's kind of interesting. I never really thought about it. I don't let the slopes or ridges in a green change my opinion of where you should be aiming your shot pattern, but I do allow you to use certain topographical features to tighten in your targets, either getting more conservative if the green is running away from you, or getting more aggressive if the surrounds are actually angled down towards the hole. So now when we do an example for the front left hole location where the pin is located against a 2 in your motionless practice round, you said I really don't want to be short-sighted to this pin. We're 147 yards. 147 yards, our baseline number is 7. 7 plus 2 yards means I need to be aiming at 9 yards from the left edge of the green, and the hole is 4 yards from the left edge of the green. So our target is 5 yards to the right of the hole. 147 yards, baseline number 7. The analyze modifier is 2. The hole is 4 yards from the left edge, 5 yards to the right. Now we have the easy front right hole location. The hole is located against the area that's actually fairway shaved, and remember it angles down towards the hole. We're 139 yards. Our baseline from 139 is 7. It doesn't matter if you round up or down, it's the same number, 7. 7 minus 2 is 5, so our target needs to be 5 yards from the right edge of the green. Well, as you can see, the hole location is 4 yards from the left edge of the green, so our target needs to be 1 yard to the left of the hole. I was having lunch with Mark Brody at the PGA of America Teaching and Coaching Summit in 2019, and David Ogren asked us if there was anything that we don't agree on or anything like that, and I said no. I mean, basically everything we're talking about is math, so it's pretty hard to disagree on much. But one thing that Mark did point out, he's like, the one example that you always give on number 10 at Carlton Woods with the front right hole location, I would just be concerned that that would actually be pushing it too close, the target too close to this lake. And again, the key to that idea is, let me pull in a snippet. So whenever I'm doing these cut and paste things on a PC, it's got the snipping tool. And so the key to this one idea is this target, so we're 139 yards, baseline number 7, 7 plus 3 is 10. As long as our target doesn't get within 10 yards of that hazard, then we're going to be fine. And so while I agree with Mark's idea, if this green were a little bit more narrow, we wouldn't want to be aiming left of a pin if that put our target actually over here, too close to this hazard. But that's what we talked about in the DECA catch-all video, the lesser of two evils. In this situation, right would certainly be the lesser of two evils if we were aiming too close to this water hazard as a result of our decade distance target, our baseline, as well as the analyze surrounding hazard modifier. So that's just one thing to always keep in mind, because we're always going to be working off of the edge of the green that the hole is located closest to, but we also want to make sure if there is a hazard on the opposite side that we're not getting too close to it. Yes, this is quite a bit to take into consideration, but you're also learning 20 plus years of experience in a couple hours of video tutorials here. So while yes, I wish that I could make it a lot easier, if you will, or even streamlined, it's pretty easy as it is. But at the end of the day, there are quite a few variables to take into consideration, so we need a step-by-step process in order to do that. I don't want this to start seeming like it's more convoluted than it is, but there are quite a few things for us to take into account. As you can see, I use this slide in my seminar to illustrate the lesser of two evils idea. But another thing that I really use it for is the idea that this works whether you're a 5 or a 10 handicap, or a scratch or a tour player, and let me show you why. So obviously the lesser of two evils, this is number 4 at Stanford's golf course. Par 3 plays about 160 yards to this front right hole location. 160 yards, our baseline number is 8. This is obviously a ravine, a penalty hazard on the right, which is an extra 3 yards. So we need to be aiming 11 yards from the right edge of the green. Well, this front little tier right here is only 17 yards wide. Obviously, that's a bit of a problem if the green's only 17 yards wide and we need to be aiming 11 yards. Obviously, only 8 or 9 yards is really the middle of the green to this front portion. But this is the key where it's going to be a little bit psychology and a little bit strategic here. This par 3 to the front right hole location plays with a scoring average of nearly 3.4. Guess what? It's a really hard hole to that front hole location. And this is the key that I always revert back to with the E expectation of decade is, yeah, what else are we supposed to do on this? You can't just hit it long because you're just giving up. You're going to 3-putt a ton from back here. You're still going to miss the green some. Part of winning requires luck is this is still a pretty big area for a 160-yard shot to be coming in. So a little bit of winning requires luck is just happening to hit a good shot the one day that this pin is up front. They put the pin up in the front, the back left, and the back right over the course of 3 rounds, and you can see it plays with a significantly higher scoring average to the front right. But imagine if I were a 10 handicap. Actually, I'm sorry, let's start with a scratch handicap as I bring in a shot pattern here. Again, we're coming in obviously from the left to the right. And if I'm a scratch, here's my target, my shot pattern. I'm just going to hit it in this bunker a whole bunch. Well, that's why the scoring average is 3.4. I'm still even going to hit some shots into the ravine right, but it just shouldn't be too many. This is where people really can typically understand why strategy works whether you're a scratch or a 10, basically the same. If I took a shot pattern and just made it larger for that 10 handicap, well, the traditional idea is that we should make a 10 a lot more conservative and aim further to the left. Well, they're just going to put shots into the left side of this bunker and even left of the bunker. I guarantee you that. And they're going to take these shots and either leave them in the bunker or put them into the water on their second shot. They're going to make almost as many doubles as just going ahead and aiming at the decade target for a scratch player. And it sounds like this is sarcastic or rude. I'm not sure which one it sounds more like, but truly the math spits out if you're going to hit it in the water, it might as well be on the first shot. So this slide really tells us a few things. First of all, expectation management. If you make bogey, you did not lose a shot. You lost 0.6 shots to your competition. Again, assuming actually in this case that your competition is one of the best D1 college golf tournaments in the world. Second, the lesser of two evils. We have to respect this water hazard and aim the appropriate amount away from it. But also, if you're a worse player, we can't just make you more conservative, especially in this situation, which is the exact times that most people think you should start getting more conservative, because you're just going to make as many doubles. Unfortunately, you're just going to make them in a different way. That pretty well does it for how we take the analyze modifiers that are related to the actual shot, meaning how long is the shot and what is the adjacent hazard. Now we're going to have a few more ways that we tighten up our target based on the course conditions and the weather that day.